Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Central Virginia fishing report with Ethan Martin at TaleTellers Fly Shop. How you doing, Ethan?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing today?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble, and I think the good news is things are starting to thaw out in Central Virginia.
Oh yeah, we can see some grass again, and this is the longest time I can remember, being here that we still had snow on the ground from one snowstorm, so...
Yeah, and so I mean, your temperatures are creeping up. You're going to get some rain, which is going to help to kind of warm things up, and so I would imagine that means musky fishermen are going to get happy because the water is going to bump up a little bit and get a little off color, and that little bump in temperature is going to make it a little bit more interesting to go out and fish for trout.
Yeah, for sure. You don't have to worry as much about everything being frozen over. I do know there was a couple of local streams that did freeze over from all the 20-degree nights that we had, and then highs never broke freezing in the mountains. So that's it's nice to kind of think that spring is around the corner, and we are through January, which is usually a hit or miss month, at least for me, unless all you care about is fishing for stock trout. But yeah, I'm excited. You got the pre-spawn bass and all this stuff right around the corner, and like you said, this pick up this week in terms of temperature and water flow should help pretty much everything kind of increase. It's not going to, I think that's the thing, when people hear me say fishing is going to be better, I'm not talking about like June better, for trout or these actual warm summer days or spring days where you've got bug activity and all this stuff. It's just better than it's been, the past month. Maybe not two, but we'll start seeing some bug activity on the trout streams, little black stoneflies, and that's always pretty popular this time of the year is fishing darker colored patterns like stoneflies or even midges, that sort of stuff. And then, as you said as well, musky stuff, that'll pick back up. The fish won't freak out quite as much in the lower water and a little more apt to eat. Same thing with smallmouth, You get a couple of days of warm weather, and I always think and tell this to people, like when you've got, even in your own house, there are certain rooms that heat up. Maybe it's 1 or 2 degrees more, and we'll go to those rooms and set up recliners, and that's the room that we want to stay in the winter, even though it's only 1 degree warmer. Maybe that's where the heater comes in. And fish are the same way. If the water temperatures spike up 1 or 2 degrees more, and you find a spot that is 1 or 2 degrees warmer, they'll move into those and they'll stack up and just chill out. So it's worth it going out. You learn a lot through the winter, I think. Yeah.
So, probably the moral of the story is in the near future is, it's a late bite window, probably 10 to 4, 11 to 4. Probably smart to fish low elevation stuff until it warms up a little bit more. And to your point, look for those warmer spots. So either places where sunlight's on the water a lot, or, maybe if there's a spring that you see in the summertime, that water is going to be a little bit warmer, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's true of any fishery that you're at. It's not just brook trout streams. If you've got a little pond in your backyard that has crappie in it or bluegill or little bass, all that stuff, it's true of every type of fish or even creature,
Yeah. And I mean, and again, the other thing that's always true is to low and slow this time of year, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I think one of the things that's often overlooked is just fishing like streamer patterns as well. Not always focusing on what's hatching, because there are days where there's not much hatching. And if a fish is going to move for something, they're going to want to move on a bigger source of protein. If something's going to get them to waste some energy or to expend calories, then it has to be worth it. There's always exceptions to that, but so that's one thing as well, not to overlook as we get into some of this wintertime temps.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually a great segue into our listener question this time around. And question is basically looking for good spots to streamer fish over the next couple months.
Okay. Well, it's like I knew what the question was going to be or something.
Could have happened.
Yeah, I think that when people are thinking about streamer fishing in my neck of the woods, which is Central Virginia, they think that it's like this, always this super active, you're casting at the bank and retrieving stuff back. And it's like this, YouTube perspective of what streamer fishing is, like super high pace. And streamer fishing is not always like that. When you look at like anglers as a whole, and you look at conventional anglers, or you look at guys throwing bait, people will throw minnows in any puddle that exists, and they'll pull fish out. So streamer fishing is not something that's just to be like thought of, oh, that's only for bigger rivers. I mean, anywhere you go, if there's a fish in that river, that big fish will eat a smaller fish, or even, a 10-inch brook trout will eat a 1-inch fish. There's a pattern that we use a lot around here. And I mean, it's basically just a woolly bugger, right? But people give me flack on that sometimes, but we just call it like the gulp minnow. It's like a little 1-inch bugger that's just like, the tail end is marabou, front half is like dubbing, essentially. And, we've caught so many brook trout on those in our little mountains here. So, in terms of like where are good spots to go, basically this is the time where I think streamer fishing starts picking up a good bit, because a couple things will happen. One is, like I said earlier, you don't have as much insect activity, and fish are looking for a higher caloric intake. Like if a big, huge slab of meat is floating down into their face, they're not going to pass that up as frequently as they might a smaller size 18 mayfly nymph or something. So I think the trick that people just need to understand is that when we're talking about streamer fishing, sometimes that's just straight up dead drifting a streamer. On certain rivers, particularly some of like the tailwaters that are here local, there will be like a shad kill that happens when you get colder water. And so then all those fish end up going down the river, just bait, essentially, shad that are dead. And so you can throw like a murdered minnow or a clouser, like stuff that's not typically thought of for trout fishing, and just dead drift it and catch fish, because that's what all the natural fish are feeding on. It's just dead bait fish floating down the river. And you'll see that, when something like that is happening, it's very clear that that's happening. But another thing too is like streamer fishing doesn't always have to be super fast paced. There's a local lake that's like 10 minutes from downtown. And one of the ways that I've caught a lot of fish there is just taking a streamer, casting it out to the lake off the dam side, and just inch by inch, like super slow, moving that streamer. And I've caught a lot of fish, even in the dead of winter, doing that. But it's just way slower than what you typically would get in like a summer bite, where it's all this reaction focused, having this thing just flying across a fish's face. So yeah, I mean, really anywhere that you fish, you can fish streamers. It's just, a lot of it boils down to presentation. So if you're fishing stock trout waters, then it's just, maybe you downsize what that streamer looks like and you fish it a lot slower. Or maybe, you're fishing for smallmouth on the James in the winter, and it's the same thing, just picking stuff across the bottom. And as the expression is, and I think we said earlier, it's just low and slow, through the wintertime. It's just fishing stuff as deep as you can in the water column, kind of keeping that fly down in the zone where the fish actually are, and then just trying to get it to move slowly. Because when a fish is nearly frozen, they're not going to be flying around the stream all day. They're going to move pretty lethargically. So yeah, those are the things I tell you to keep in mind. In terms of places, really, honestly, anywhere you fish, I would be more than willing to fish a streamer there.
Yeah, and I would say too, this time of year, to your point, is a great time to jig streamers. So maybe tie some of your favorite streamer patterns on jig hooks, and you can fish them slow, and you also get to kind of move them up and down through the water column, so you can kind of figure out where the fish really want to eat.
That I've caught so many fish doing that. Like, I mean, a lot of people know, but like I grew up in Waynesboro, and I had the South River in my backyard before it was what it is now. Like, it's, I think, better now than what it ever was. But that was one of the ways that we caught a ton of fish, was just a small sculpin style streamer, maybe like an 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It was like a slump buster is what it was. Slump buster or Moto's minnow, just like gray and white or natural pine squirrel on a jig hook. And as heavy as you can get it, and just bounce it across the bottom. And that is still one of my like go-to ways. I feel like I'm sharing my deep secrets now, but that's a way I've caught a lot of fish on the different places that I've been. Which, I mean, if you're in Virginia, it's the places that like everybody fishes. The Jackson, the Smith, the South, like all that stuff is stuff that, you know, we fished. I've grown up fishing and still fish to this day. So yeah, I'd encourage people, give it a go, because like these patterns, Moto's minnow, I was called the slump sculpin, but it's a slump buster, and that sort of stuff, man, it just looks like bait fish, or it looks like just a creature moving, and then, like you said, jigging it through the water column. I mean, that drives fish mad. So yeah, give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us. You can drop them in the comments of our social media posts, or DM us on Facebook or Instagram. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag, and we will enter you in a drawing for some cool stuff from the shop at the end of 2022. And Ethan, before I let you hop, you want to let folks know store location and hours and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, of course. We're in 924 Main Street in Lynchburg, Virginia. So there's a lot to do in downtown. It's a cool place. So if you're ever in our neck of the woods, feel free to stop by. I'm there pretty much every day. The only day we're closed is Sunday. And then, of course, if you can't make it, we do have pretty much all of our products online at TaleTellersVA.com. If you have a question that you want to send straight to me, you can do that, you know, call a shop or send us an email or Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. I manage all that. So, yeah, feel free to reach out.
Well, there you go. And, you know, folks, if you're a hardy soul, you might want to take advantage of this warm-up in the next few days to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ethan.
Tight lines.